It's a holistic approach that we're looking at. We don't want to blame anybody. First thing, we want to keep this meeting very professional. Let us respect each other's opinion. People will have opinion. Once we get into the meeting, a microphone, once you want to pose any questions, a microphone will be handed to you. We are asking you to keep your question short to 2 so we can respond to it. Whether you're going to point the question to me, you may have people in the audience that you want to point it to. Unfortunately, well, as I say, let me not say that yet until when we get down a little further to see if the other persons who have been invited, the invite list has been very, very long. I can tell you to include the Prime Minister and the Minister of Sports, the coordinator of school cricket and the coordinator of Heather, I can't remember her portfolio, her director of sports. So there's a holistic situation that we're trying to create so that we can have a very wide discussion so we can come up at the end of the day to see exactly where we're going. Because at the end of the day, we want to understand that Cricket Association, yes, just cannot entirely take all the blame for youth cricket, because we must be able to hear from the clubs, what are your plans? Because we feel that youth cricket or youth sports, let me say sports, because cricket, it's not only cricket that have the problem. We believe that when you come to the youths, it has to be school and community, and the association must have a part to play. So it has to be a holistic situation where we see where we can get things done in order to improve the performances of individuals in general, and then Antigua, Leeward, and West Indies. Later on, I will ask KJ to have a few words based on some plans that should take place from a youth standpoint. But for now, we just want everybody to feel free that if you have something that you want to say, that we will entertain you. For now, I'm just going to ask the new Commissioner of Sport just to say a few words on behalf of his department, on looking forward for what collaboration that we can have together to make things work for the betterment of the youth cricket. And well, I'm saying cricket, but sports in general. Sir?
Good evening, everybody. I'm not going to tell you that it put me on the spot, because I'm always prepared to be on the spot. It's a privilege to be here, because I believe in collaboration and working together to find solutions to whatever issues that we're facing. I also believe that there is no short-term plan to any long-term issue, but I also believe we need to approach it from a positive point of view. From the Ministry of Sports point of view, the Minister has already highlighted that cricket as a sport is one of its major priorities for obvious reasons. Cricket, from a legacy point of view, has much that we can be proud of, and as part of a nation-building effort, all of us can relate to that. It has provided us with a sense of national pride beyond. But beyond that, cricket is a driving force for the economy. So it should be a no-brainer that it is a priority area. I don't profess to be the professional who come with all the answers, and wisdom tells you that one of the greatest skills that an individual can have is to listen before they speak. And so the process of consultation that has begun here is a useful process. But consultation doesn't necessarily have to always be formal. It could simply be you sitting in a stand, listening to a voice of somebody who might be knowledgeable, because when we talk about team doesn't really just mean the people who are appointed in a position. Every single person within a nation who has knowledge could be a part of that team. But I also want to say, in the light of cricket, where some people than work, you should be able to find solutions. And so I want to commend the Cricket Association for this initiative, because it's a useful start, And we hope that whatever ideas that come out of it will be the betterment of our children. I also believe, as he has said, that the youth has always been the foundation for us to build from. And if you know me, I kind of feel that a lot of the things that we do ought to be embedded in our schools, because that's where the young people are, that's where the talent are. And so we ought to take school cricket and youth development as a serious thing in this country, and whatever resources that are available should be dedicated. And that resources don't just mean the financial resources. It also includes we have to find a way to utilize our human resources at every level to come together to make the plan. And I want to say that the ministry is committed in that regard, and that is why I am here to listen and to offer whatever I can in that regard. I want to say that in my deliberations with the Minister of Sports, he is of a similar mind, and so we hope that working together we can come up with meaningful solutions going forward that we can build on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I believe, given what you would have just said, that will let me believe that this meeting can be very important. As I say, it has to be a holistic approach. And obviously, as we mentioned before, when it comes to junior sports, it has to be schools, community, associations. There is no secret that associations are responsible for national teams. However, at the end of the day, national training and development must also be a part of the association's plan. However, we can't do it alone, and I don't think that any one of us can do it alone. May it be the associations, the ministry, or even the clubs. The association, we must hold ourselves responsible, because we must be able to be the driving force to say to the clubs, show us your youth program. To the ministry, why are we having a school tournament that starts in March and finish in March? So at the same time, as much as I don't want us to be pointing fingers at each other, we must find ways in order to make this thing work. If we cast our minds back, as I said, with the Scotia Kiddie program, which did a lot for the whole Caribbean, and some of us may not want to give credit, but we'll have to give credit to a gentleman by the name of Vernon Springer, who had that on the 13 tournament, which was held in St. Kitts over a period of time. And a number of players who ended up playing for West Indies would have played in that tournament. I can recall Craig Brathwaite. I believe I see Anthony Martin here. I believe he played in that tournament also, along with people like Marley Richards, Kimar Roach, and a whole lot of those guys. So it's just show that the importance of having that level of youth cricket, and the reality is that that's the reason why we're here tonight. Our main focus tonight is the youth cricket and how we're going to look to move forward with it from the ministry standpoint, association standpoint, and the club standpoint, and then we will look at the practice venues. Unfortunately, as I said, a couple of persons who we would hope that questions could be pointed to them would have been here to answer those questions. Nevertheless, ladies, gentlemen, could we just repeat again? Could you just put your phone on silent or vibration, that we don't disturb the meeting? Just to let you know that this meeting is going live on the ABCA Facebook page and along with our YouTube page. So let us try and keep it as tight as possible. So now, well, before we do that, I'm going to ask KJ to just come and say a few words from the West Indies Cricket Board standpoint with a few things that are possible moving forward.
Thanks, President. Good evening to all, Commissioner. I think I want to take a page out of the Commissioner's book in saying that whatever short-term plans we put in place won't fix the long-term, and that's incredibly right. From CWI's end, we're definitely committed to the process and integrating with the Antigua and Barbuda Cricket Association government, both the Ministry of Sport and Ministry of Education. in pulling together a plan that is realistic, one, taking into consideration resources of all parties. And Commissioner, I'm sure that you have priorities also with your funding. So the CWI, with the limited funding that we do have, we are taking a step back right now to do a very important initiative, which is a gap analysis and inventorizing all of the, I should say, sustained youth cricket that is going on in every single Caribbean territory, including Antigua and Barbuda. We started that process. So it's going to be a process of collaboration with government, with the clubs, with the ABCA, to understand what junior cricket is being played at the schools level, both primary, secondary, independent initiatives that are being done by the clubs, etc., to identify where those gaps are. And then from a manner of prioritizing what needs to be plugged in terms of where we put our resources, both human and financial resources, we'll strategically place those priorities into a short and long-term perspective where we meet our objectives of fulfilling representative teams to participate in our regional tournament. The boys on the 15, boys on the 17, boys on the 19 regional tournaments. While the boys have a pretty much sustained pathway, and we are having representative teams from the Leeward Islands, Guyana, Barbados, Trinidad, Windwards, Jamaica. We find with the girls, there's a big gap between where they start out cricket at the primary school level, in many cases, and the under 19. The boys do have somewhat of an semblance of a pathway. However, for the girls' cricket in particular, we are finding that the quality of cricket that we're seeing on the under 19 level, it is reducing due to the fact that that pathway is not being sustained. I must say, post-COVID, not only Antigua and Barbuda, I think every single territory within the Caribbean is struggling to get back where they were. We did have, I think Mr. Rodney mentioned the Scotiabank Kiddie Cricket Program. It was very beneficial in mass participation cricket, both for boys and girls, leading into the grassroots program, which was the next step into a secondary school or club cricket program. So what we want to do is just take a step back for a second, inventorize each territory from Jamaica to Guyana and everything in between, just to see where we are right now and how we can prioritize our, I should say, limited resources in the short term to build out a sustained plan for the long term. So that's where we are right now. So, Mr. Rodney, I do think this is beneficial for Antigua and Barbuda. The West Indies Cricket Board is resident here. So we'll come knocking on your doors, including the commissioner if he doesn't mind, to do this collaboration and have some synergies to make this development pathway a full-fledged activity-based one for cricket. Thank you.
Thank you very much, KJ. And just want to say that we all must hold ourselves accountable for the redevelopment of sports in Antigua and Barbuda vis-a-vis especially the youth program. I can't overly just reflect on how well it was looking when we had the Scotia Kiddies program. I know that somewhere down on the south side where you have what they call the bank, Republic Bank. I think Republic Bank has been putting some money down on that side. We now have to look from this standpoint. It don't have to be a bank, but there are so many businesses in Antigua, this side of the world, that we probably need to seek assistance in order for us to bring back the youth program. So again, it's all about holding ourselves accountable. And if there's any questions for us, or feel free to pose any question to anyone here tonight. As I said before, the reality is now that the time has come that it has to be the ministry, the Cricket Association, the clubs also must take responsibility as the community part of it to develop our product. So you have a club, you know, you're on the 15s or on the 17s. Just let's say you need to have a youth program. And the association as it is should really be the police to say, listen, well, what it is that you're doing, ministry, what is it that you're doing, and take it from there. So any questions for anybody? There's the microphone. Just wave to John. John will give you the microphone, and you pose a question. We are basically on the youth part of it at the present moment. Let me just say to you, the invitation list was very, very long, and I would have hoped that, you know, we would have had the Prime Minister here. He was invited. The Minister also, I spoke to him up to today. He told me he's traveling tomorrow, and he would have been expected to be here. So some very, very important cogs in the wheel, which would have helped us here at this meeting tonight to understand what could be the next movement. But nevertheless, just to also tell you that this meeting tonight is recorded, right? It is recorded, and we will go through the recordings to see. That is just not an ex-talk shop, but we must be able to call on them to say, listen, this is what came out of this meeting, and this is the expectation. When we come down to the venue of practice, again, just to tell you that 5 persons from the stadium was invited to this meeting also, and that is for specific reasons, knowing that we have been having issues with preparation of national teams. I would not be speaking too much about the invitation that was extended to the Leeward Islands Hurricanes here in Antigua and Barbuda, and who seems to have some problems with training venue. I would not be talking about that because the President was also invited to this meeting along with the CEO, and I'm sure that they're more than capable of speaking about that to the relevant authorities. But for now, we'll focus on what you guys, what you think we can do from a collaborative standpoint for the betterment of youth cricket. Anyone want to speak, please put your hands up. John will give you the microphone. Mr. Alex Brown, I'm not going to call him senator for specific reasons tonight. Okay, my apologies. He say I have to say Senator Alex Brown.
Good evening, everyone. It was quite refreshing to, we started off hearing the commissioner and, of course, the brother from Cricket West Indies, what they're saying. And one of the things that I am gathering, and with also the president, that cricket starts and must be sustained from the youths. But it must be sustainable. And so I think one of the things that we have to look at in a very serious way is how we're going to fund it. Because without funds, it's not going to work. And that is plain and simple. I know that, for an example, you have in Barbados, a portion of the lottery goes to cricket. We have a lottery here. And I'm disappointed that the ministers are not here. But is there a way that we can look at incorporating a percentage of the taxes to fund cricket in Antigua? And that's a conversation, I think, that is very, very important. Another suggestion, I know people don't like to hear about taxes, but we do have within our structure, I think, a 2% tax for education. Cricket, now education and sports is twinned. So can a percentage of that 2% or maybe an increase of 2.5% with a 5% going towards sports? And these are some of the things that we have to look at in a very, very serious way, because you must have funding. This cricket was great when it was funded by Scotiabank. Why not do it ourselves? Get some funding for it, allocate it, whether it's to the businesses or direct funding to the ministry to our taxes. And those are just some suggestions, Mr. Commissioner of Sports. I know you have the minister's ears, so just some suggestions. But if it's not funded, I don't think it's going to work. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Senator Alex Brown. As you said, I have to address you. Is there anyone else want to make a contribution to the development of youth sports in Antigua and Barbuda, specifically cricket? Thank you very much. We recognize the president of the softball or windball, as we call it in Antigua, Mr. Mandy Weatherwill.
Yeah, good night, everybody. My question is, well,
Check the mic.
audio. Yes, most of the guys that went on to play for Leeward Island, West Indies, started out playing softball. So my question is, with this project you're looking to start, is there any plans to involve softball?
Well, I would have to say yes, and that's the reason why one of the very important reasons, one of the very important things that we want to collaborate with the Ministry of Sports, because cricket is cricket, and from a participation standpoint, there's no doubt in my mind that we have to go back to the grassroots, and let us just reflect our minds on a gentleman they call Abuda Barnes, God bless his soul, that a lot of people took Abuda for granted, and because Abuda was basically a basketball person, but the kind of time that Abuda Barnes put into cricket, for those of us who would have passed to the east of Rising Sun grounds, once Abuda gets there at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, Abuda really don't move him there until about 6 o'clock. And for a lot of us who don't know, Andrew is one of the product of Abuda Barnes, you know, and there's a number of persons who came through Abuda Barnes. A lot of us who probably play the game over a period of time probably may feel that he's not so technical and XYZ, but his contribution of his time put in, having the guys participate in playing, you know, it helps to build their skills and understand certain things until when they get to the next level. So yes, I can sit here and tell you that there are room for that, and let's hope that once we sit down with, especially with KJ and so forth, because as we would have mentioned before sometime, it doesn't just have to be the hardball version, because you have to graduate. As you say, a lot of us would have played the wind ball before we went into the hardball. So yes, there's a space for it. Gentlemen, please don't be afraid to use the microphones, and let us get it on records that when we have the approach to the ministry, who are not here at the present moment, that they understand exactly what it is that we want. You, the clubs yourself, I'm sure that you have an idea and an inkling that we, as club members, has to really step up and also look to the development of our clubs.
Good night, everybody.
Could you record?
Yeah, my name is Elijah Peters. I'm a coach. I coach at Jennings as well. I'm a physical education teacher in the school system as well. Primary school actually, so this one touched home to me. I've been teaching for 7 years. My good friend Andrew Samuel is here. We're both primary school teachers. In the primary school, it's very bad in terms of the cricket structure. There's pretty much no structure. When the school year starts, we practice. There's a tournament the ministry tries to put on that runs for 2 days. Thursday and Friday. This is for 7 years now since I've been teaching, right? It's for 2 days. You play 5 overs. You get knocked out. If you lose the first game, you're out. And that's it for the whole year, right? We tried a few times at our level. When I was at Mary E. Pickett, there was Adventist day that they don't really take part generally in the school stuff, but I tried to put on a few games with them and so on, and try to get a few schools involved just to keep the children going, because we play cricket every day. in terms of practicing, doing what we have to do in the school. But at the other level, there's just no structure in terms of a proper tournament, a proper structure of the tournament. For say we have a group, we like in the school, primary school structure, we have zones. There are 4 zones, right? Let's say we have a zone where everybody play everybody once, and at the end of it, we see where we're at, just so the children can get enough time, enough game time, you know, to understand the game a little bit more. Because as much as we try, we will not getting much help, and it's been 7 years now, and not much has really been changed, you know. And the school year started again, and we're going back to the same thing again. So it's just something that I think that we can look at and take a good, because it starts from the grassroots, as you said, and the primary school level is the grassroots. We start at 5 years old, so that's something that we should definitely look at, Mr. Rodney.
Thank you very much, sir. Once again, I will say that it's really sad that we don't have the relevant persons who have been invited to hear from the horse's mouth the things that can be done or should be done to move forward, because at the end of the day, it's about the coaches, as I say, it's about everybody. You don't have to name anybody. Coaches, ministry, association. Again, the association have to stand up and be the watchdog for the development of clubs and the development of schools. Anybody else want to make a contribution at the time?
Okay.
Madam Secretary?
Okay. Mariella Miller for the record. Sorry. Okay. Mr. Commissioner, my question is, I have a question, sorry. How closely does your office work with the coordinators within the Ministry of Sports? I ask this question because I am a part of the school system, not only as a teacher, but everybody knows I like my sports, I love my cricket, and it's very dear to me, right? And it's hard to see that these things are only looked at for maybe 2 or 3 weeks in a term. No previous, no announcement, nothing, no pronouncement, nothing. So it's like it's an afterthought. Oh, it's a part of our calendar, let's get it done, and that's it, we move on. So that's why I'm asking you that, and also because I don't know if it is within your capacity to ask, because we would have, over the years, that the coordinator within the Ministry of Sport at least let us know, the ABCA know, when these tournaments are going to begin or when they're being held. Because one of the things that children need is support. They like to know that somebody is there to support them. So you're telling them to come week after week, day after day, and complain, and nobody shows up. No representative shows up to show that, well, you're interested in the children. So that is what I want to know. How closely does your office work with the coordinators within the ministry so we can get something like that addressed?
What I can tell you, I don't know how the Office of the Commissioner of Sport was interpreted in the past. I can tell you how I interpret the office and how I have approached it. And you want to bear in mind that I've only been appointed as a commissioner for 1 month. But I can tell you the approach that I have brought. I feel that the Office of the Commissioner must have direct correlation and influence in the day-to-day running of sports, and that is how I have approached it. I have since taken office, held meetings with all the coordinators, including the coordinator for cricket, and clearly outlined what the goals I have from the plans that I'm putting in place once they are all sanctioned. So the coordinator is very clear as to what the objectives are. Those objectives have been shared with the minister and with the director of sport, which is another arm of the Ministry of Sports. My job is primarily, in the first instance, to develop policy and programs to assist in the development of all sports, including cricket. So I have chosen to work very, very closely, not just with the coordinators, but also with the leadership of our schools and the mindset of our teachers as to how they view sports, not just cricket. So one of the first things that I have done is to have a coordinators meeting, including the coordinator of cricket. The next step is to move from there to interact with the people who coach the sports. And one of the things we want to identify is what programs we want to develop, because you can only assess what resources you need if you can identify what programs you want to develop. So a lot of people talk about what is going to be spent. Before you can ascertain what is going to be spent, you have to figure out what you want to develop. And that is the route from where it goes. We are also looking to strengthen the capacity of the people, the coordinators who work within the Ministry of Sports, because sometimes a lot of people make the mistake to think that all people have all the skills for development, when that is not so. So a man could be an outstanding West Indies cricket player. That doesn't mean that he has all the management capacities to how to develop programs and bring them to the fore. And that is in itself is not a shortcoming. It's just an understanding that different people have different skill sets that you want to bring together. So the way how I have explained it is that every single coach at every level becomes a part of the partnership and a part of the team. And that dialogue is ongoing. I have also said to them, identify what resources you want. And don't just tell me the resources that you need for the league. Identify the resources that you want. So when you are able to identify the resources that you want, then a next set of people can go to find those resources. There are different avenues that you can go to. To be blunt, I watch cricket. And since I became the coordinator, I had an opportunity to go upstairs, because I normally watch cricket on the south stand in that little corner there. For years I watch it. And there's a lot going on upstairs in those boxes. There's a lot of money circulating around cricket and a lot of people making money around cricket. I've had conversations with some of them, and their attitude is that in some cases they have never been approached with a plan as to what they should go forward. But I think now all the heads need to go together. And I've not only spoken to the coordinator, I've spoken to any mind who wants to share knowledge, whether in a formal or informal sense. But I also believe that our schools as well have a big role to play. Because one of the important things that I have identified is the question of time. You understand? Time, playing the game, time in essence. In the past, the old synergy that we had, time was limitless in the way we played sports. That was from a cultural point of view. That situation has changed and it's not coming back. So now we have to be able to analyze the data as to how much cricket we have, in the case we talk about cricket that we play, and how much time we get towards development, how we view competition as a part of development but not the only aspect of development. And then we have to remodel our programs where time is concerned. There's been overarching gravity towards winning at an individual team level rather than winning at a national level. When I say winning, if you focus solely on winning without focusing on the quality of the skill sets in winning, we're going to have a problem. So there has to be collaboration at every level where development is concerned and where time is concerned. And so only time will tell whether those plans going forward will make a difference. But I am a commissioner that boots are on the ground. I don't sit in an office for more than an hour at a time. I do the work at home and I'm hitting the ground hard. The personnel has to be honest. The coaches have to be honest. about whether they put in qualitative time with our children on a daily basis with the work they do. They have to take pride and passion in what they do. Because even if they pay you money and you don't have pride and passion in what you do, we're not going to get the resources because they're not going to feed from you. So my hands are very much in the pot. And in one day, I moved from facilities to personnel to watching games. That's where I'm at. And we're working very, very closely with the technical part of the Ministry of sports. I'm a commissioner. That's in the morning. At 7 o'clock, you're going to see me at PS Secondary trying to refix the surface there. And you're going to see me at 8 o'clock in the evening and working along with the Ministry of Personnel as a team. So that's how I view it.
Thank you very much. Oh, Anthony Martin.
Yes, good night, everyone. President Martin, the president of the Sports Club, President Christian Sports Club. Mr. Commissioner, I like your idea. You know, and it's the first time I'm really hearing you since you have taken over such position, and I like your idea. Looking forward to see, you know, what happens down the road. With the youths, I think we need them to be playing a lot of cricket. You know, that's one of the things we need to get them to play a lot of cricket. So I think we need to introduce on the 13th, on the 15th, on the 17th, and on the 19th. Back in my time, we didn't have the on the 17th, so you had a big gap between it. Now we have it. So I think we should use it. Get the youth them playing a lot of cricket. All the communities may not be able to, I'm just shifting a little bit from the schools. All the communities may not be able to produce on 13, on 15, on 17, on 19. But then we can use it as a zonal thing, like East Zone, West Zone, North Zone, and South Zone. And we would have, you know, different, as I said, different tournaments playing, different age groups, different tournaments playing. So all the zones will be in that particular tournament. Every tournament, you will have all the zones in the tournament playing. You can play probably 2 rounds because it's big 4, so it's 3 games. So you can play 2 rounds. I think, you know, that you just want to get the youth there when you're not playing. Because, you know, in this time, their energy, focus, and everything is just in another direction. Not like when I used to play. I used to want to play cricket every day. Every day I get up, I don't even need a facility. I'll find some way. That's what all these now. Now, facility is very important. In the communities, we don't have that. So we need some assistance in getting the cities in order. I'm talking about like net system. You understand? So the youths can go and play, and the ball is not all over the place. It's in one area. So if 2 is available, they can make use of it. So I think we need to look into that as well. Facility is very important. When the youth see the facility, at least it will encourage them, you know, to go there. So I think we need to look into that. And that's fine.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin. I think there's a good point, some good points coming out there. And one of the things I would want to take to be part of the takeaway from it that, as you say, maybe not in every community you may be able to find on the 13s, 15s, 17s, but in 4 communities you may be able to find 13s. In another 4 communities you may be able to find 15s. So that is the kind of a discussion that we want, and the kind of collaboration that we want to establish between the ministry, the association, and clubs, because let us be real, we can't get away that the clubs has a part to play in this in terms of youth development. You must be able to look at your product your club and say, well, who is going to replace Anthony Martin in 2 years' time, 3 years' time? So every club, we should be looking to have some level of development. And again, you may hear this word from me over and over, but I think it's only real that it has to be a holistic approach by the association, ministry, clubs, CWI, government. Everybody must be involved with it. Coaches especially, because majority of the coaches see these players on a regular basis. Anybody else want to put your hands up for a microphone? Okay, you have it.
Good evening, I'm Andrew Samuel, St. Python, and as well as a physical education teacher. So in terms of primary school level, as my friend Lige said, we do have a schools tournament that's played during this year. But the situation that I find is, especially let me talk about my school. My school is 120 students. So as we know, all sports are seasonal. So in this season now, it's cricket primary school. And then it might be the same players playing football next season and still doing athletics. How do we, it's now a challenge to attract them to play cricket, or to keep them to play cricket, because they might want to play football, they're going to want to do athletics. What are we going to do from a ministry standpoint, from Cricket West Indies standpoint, even from the association standpoint, that can drive more interest into the young players, especially that on the 13 level, which is the primary school level? How can we now let cricket be more attractive to these young people? Because we have to attract them to the cricket. Because, as we say, the generation now, it's this technology taking over. And when it's not that, from my standpoint, it's football. Football is most of these young boys, especially young boys, that's their first choice of sport. So how can we now, as a ministry, as the association, as the clubs, as a community, attract these young boys and girls into playing cricket?
That is a very interesting question, and I'm sure that's one of the reasons why we're here tonight, to hear from a number of different individuals. And hopefully, as I say, it's a little bit disappointed for me, who would have done majority of the legwork to have a number of persons invited here tonight. But nevertheless, we're going to go through, and I'm sure that with the commissioner and assistant commissioner here, and myself representing the association, that somewhere along the line we may be able to have a better sit-down meeting with the relevant authorities to see how we are going to make things work. We must be able to accept that time has changed, and whereas when we are growing up, maybe it was only two sports, football and cricket, and for some of us who had better skills would have gone on to play basketball. Now, whereas when we were growing up, you probably had one television in your house where everybody sit down in one room to watch that one television, or maybe your neighbor alone had one television in the area. Now, even in the bathrooms, there's television. In the kitchen, there's television, and you have 5 kids. Each rooms have television, and sometimes you yourself don't even know what your child is doing in that room. They're playing all sorts of games. They come out from school. Some of them may do their homework, and then they're on the computer, their phones, their tablet. In our time, somebody will probably run you out the house and tell you, go and kick some football or do something. So we must be able to come to the realization and understanding that time has changed, and for most of us who feel that technology is going to go away, it is not going to go away anytime soon. As a matter of fact, it's just not going to go away. We will have to be able to understand how we are going to get these youths to play more outdoor sports. I remember the days going to school, you may have one obese person in the whole school, and you know that a lot of us are going to get in trouble because somebody is going to put a cuff on that obese person. Now these days, obesity is like, hey, you're just fat, you're just fat. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Danny Moore Roberts, Progressive Sports. I jumped up after Andrea spoke because one of the things that we need from this evening is solution. And one of the solutions that we're going to get for the cricket, we have to get back to what we call free play. Free play. Free play meaning that in the schools, in the private schools, in the public schools, in all the schools, we need to get the ball and the bat and put it down. Just put it down. What will happen is that somebody is going to take it up and start to play. And I think that is part of the problem that we've had. When I went to T.N. Kernan School in 2019, I found 6 kiddie cricket sets up top, on top of a place, that a shelf, right at the top, that had on more dust than anything else. Brand new. I also found a bag with gears from Ridley Jacobs and them that were dry rot. Nobody was playing any cricket. I decided, being somebody that loves cricket and sport, what I did, I took down the kiddie cricket gears and I just put them down in the quadrangle. One boy opened it and realized that it was cricket, and he has been looking for cricket for years. Now, when I got there, they tell me that he never plays sport. The teachers tell me he's never played any sport. He's never been interested. They have a basketball set up in there, and he's never ever played any sport. But what happened? He opened the bag and realized it was cricket, and he started. Now, he was first for about a month, and he was the one batting. Get everybody to bowl to him. People can't carry with him. They tune to him. He knock it. But the point is that they started to play. I remember Swango walking into the schoolyard sometime after, and then asking me if he can take that boy to go play with him over at Others Comprehensive. Now, that's a grade 5 child I'm talking about at the time. Luckily, he had a supportive father who was all for the idea of him going, and so there wasn't a problem getting him home after he played because the daddy is going to go and watch him. Now, the point that I'm trying to make is that has to be replicated in all the schools. So at your private school, Elijah, you have to put out the bat and put out the ball. We have to beg some tennis balls from thing. Now, the reason why I'm not even saying the kiddie cricket, because the kiddie cricket, even as much as they're plastic, they sting. Right? You have to get something that the children, because a lot of the children are awkward. A lot of them have no coordination. If you throw a ball at them, you burst their face, and those kind of things. So we have to start to get them back to playing. When I was growing up, I learned cricket. The first time I got coaching, I was nearly 11, 12, when Fredo started to show us a couple of things out at kiddie cricket. But when we went kiddie cricket with Fredo, it wasn't a really big coach. Fredo used to hit. We used to run round. He hit us the catches, and then he tell out, go play cricket. Those of us who are not so afraid, take up the pad, put it on, and want to bat. And you play until after a while he started to notice who can and who can't. I keep telling people Bangadoo, Western, was a left arm fast bowler. I'm sure that plenty of people didn't know that. And he broke his left arm with us out at CV Farm and turned into a right arm fast bowler. The point I'm trying to make is that we have to encourage the game, and we have to get the people who are in charge of the schools and so on to understand that cricket is literally the only sport in Antigua and Barbuda that we've had many people of international acclaim. We can call almost 30 people that we've seen on our TV. So we can't just give in. Now also, we have to stop being artificially busy. And notice that we all have to stop being artificially busy. When last have we taken our children down to the park to play? Because we go to work and we come home and we claim that we're busy doing nothing. So we have to get back to the days when our parents follow the children down and watch them play. It might seem irrelevant, but just having them, watching them play, watching them kick a ball, watching them do, those are the kind of things that need to happen if we are going to. But we're going to need some money.
Thank you. Thank
and
you.
Just one last point, if I may. And look for it, Mr. Commissioner. There was a, what do you call it, Mandy? There was a something in place that gave businesses tax up to 500,000 between 2009 and 2014. If Mr. Green wants I can send it to him, because I found it just the other day. I was researching and I came across the strategic when they had the strategic development thing. On the UPP, what they were saying to businesses, sponsor sports, and I would say sponsor cricket up to 500,000 and claim it back as a part of your tax return. And we have to drag out some of those businesses that have gone into their shell, that have benefited big time. Up to now, WEAC is still benefiting because people still remember double-decker. And in our heads, they are still getting the marketing up to now. But when last has WEAC given anything into the cricket that makes us? It makes no sense that these big company walks about and tells us that they make a waft of profit when they're not really helping the development of things like the sport. So I think those are the kind of things that need to happen. We need to get the children back playing naturally, and we need to implement that thing where businesses get the tax return so that we can get more money to get the programs going.
Thank you very much, Mr. Roberts. Listen, we can go over a lot of things for the night. Let me just take the opportunity of recognizing the president of Leeward Islands Cricket Board, Mr. Enoch Lewis. Thank you for coming. And I would have mentioned earlier, and I'm sure that when we get into the facility, practice facilities and so forth, you may have something that you want to say about that. Anyway, listen, there's a lot of things that can be said, and we hope that the takeaway from this first town hall meeting tonight, because we got to take it very, very serious, because it's a very serious situation. Listen, I know that we are taking this thing live via our Facebook page and on our YouTube page, but I know that there's no secret that in the last Leeward Islands Under-15 tournament, Antigua only had 3 players in that Leeward Islands team. Now, it may sound kind of cocky or whatever you may want to call it, that why is the president of Antigua and Barbuda saying that? I'm one of the person who honestly believe if all the best players come from St. Kitts, you should pick them. If they come from Nevis, you must pick them. But I'm also very cognizant of the fact that the more players that, well, the history show that the more players that Antigua has represented in an Leeward Islands team, along with Nevis, let us not overlook that, because the history will show that with those 2 territories providing most players, that the teams appears to perform much better from a competitive standpoint. I could be wrong, but at the end of the day, the reality is that a lot of us has not been comfortable that we only had 3 players, and that's just the reality of the situation. What we're going to have to do in Antigua, it's going to depend of the takeaway out of this kind of meetings where, again, I can't apologize because the invitation was sent out to the most relevant individuals, the head of Samuels, the minister, all these people were invited to this meeting tonight, and that's why I took the opportunity early on to thank the commissioner and to the deputy commissioner and KJ and now the president of Leeward Islands for being here tonight, because it's a very important thing, and I said earlier on, and you will hear it from me again, it has to be a holistic approach to youth development in Antigua and Barbuda when it comes to sports, more so the cricket. I think Denmore made some very, very important points. We must be able to find ways that we start in with participation, so we know maybe at the age of 6, 7, or even up to maybe 8, it's about just come out, playing the sports, playing. The more you play, the more you get better understanding, and then the coaching process start. How we will deal with that, as I say, that will come from the takeaway. Who knows, we may have to just develop a youth development committee between everybody. When I say everybody, maybe from some representative from ABCA, the Ministry of Sports, and I'm sure the commissioner could guide us on that in terms of the clubs, who will represent who, because we must have a restarting point. And I say restarting point because at the present moment, again, as I said earlier on, if there's no proper development program, there's no proper senior program. I will sit here and tell you from the Antigua and Barbuda Cricket Association standpoint, I think we have done very well. But if it was supposed to start tick some boxes, I'm sure the youth program, the youth part of it, you're going to put an X to it. And I'm not going to apologize to anybody for that. But again, it has to be a holistic approach. The association has to be like the police, the clubs. What are your club doing in terms of the development of youths? What are your club doing? Ministry, what's going on with the coaches and XYZ? Somebody hands went up a while ago. Oh, Mandy, Winball president.
Yeah, well, it's not the president this time. Progressive Sports.
It's Mandy.
Progressive Sports, Mandy. First of all, Andrea, it's not just the tablet that some of the youths get turned off from. And iRoots, the ideas are good with the under 13, we say 13, 15, 17, 19, more cricket, better. My thing is what I would like to see, or something I put forward to the association. Whenever you have these, let's say, under 15 squad training, I would like to see there's a punch list, a record, where the coaches keep attendance, and anybody, according to Paddy, they can pull the title lead and challenge me with this. You keep record how many times they attend practice, if they're always late, if they never attend practice, because I know for a fact some don't turn up at all, or if you have 10 practices, some come 1 or 2, and they get picking from the president to all the practice. So I'm going to put this to the association. Yeah, Kenny, you look surprised, but yeah, truth always truth. When you have a squad training, you demand from the coaches for a, what a word to use now, attendance record. Right? And now this is something for, I don't know if this fall under the Commission of Sports. With the sponsorship, the last time I called Inland Revenue and I asked about that, they told me if you spend 10,000, you only get back 50%. So I think this is something they should revisit, because somebody may want to sponsor 5,000 and you only get back what? Half of that. So this is something I think they should check over. I don't know if they change it now. And question, how do you select your coaches when you're having this youth squad practicing?
Okay, so that question, I would leave that alone for this meeting, and I'm sure we can discuss it some other time. Would anybody else want to have an input in terms of the youth development? What can be done? Any advice for the recordings and the takeaway, which we'll go forward with? If there's no other discussions than that, we probably can move forward. Oh, we have Norville.
Good evening. Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Norville Simon, the head of Ground Stadium. We had a cricket just as recent as last week. And I'm sitting and I'm watching around. I remember as a child growing up in Antigua, Barbuda, when we had cricket. We had schools invited to watch the games. We have such an important game as what we had the other day, and the stands were empty. Empty stands. What happened? Can't we send out invitation to schools, even if it's 10 students from each school? And so that can go ahead build children's interest in sports. We have a whole stadium, so many games played, stands empty. I think one of the things we need to do is to start to re-invite schools to be a part of this. Go ahead, build the children's interest, and I think that's some way that we can start from.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Oh, Mr. Ridges?
Yeah, good evening, everyone.
Blessed.
I just wanted to continue on the same theme everybody was going, that we see that we have to find a way to get back our young people playing sport. But then when we look at what's been happening for the 7, 8, 10 years, from West Indies level, they're not playing under 13 no more. I think very few people can say I played for West Indies at under 13. But everybody in here who has made it started playing cricket from 9, 10, 11. By the time you're 11, you know if you're going to stick with cricket or if you're going to go with football. So what I think as Caribbean we should have been doing is that we should have brought it down. Instead of only fitting on the 17 gap, we should have introduced on the 19, on the 9s. And because they're so distracted as young people so early, we have to get to them earlier. So if we could consider in the long-term plan that we get to the kids earlier, 9, 11, even if West Indies isn't doing it, we have to do it as Antigua, and we really start to identify who has the talent. I agree with you that you should bring them around the cricket very much more and even have them be a part of the dressing rooms for the senior team, just so that they're inspired. If you look at all the young athletes now, most of them have a picture with Chris Gayle when they were younger. They have a picture with Lara. Like, everybody was inspired that way, but we kind of missing those things. And Vivian. So for me is we can't follow everything West Indies cricket is doing because they're not going downwards. So as Antigua, if we could consider going down and trying to reach the young people, that would be my recommendation. And then my even more scientific reason to why we have to do it, cricket is about muscle memory. If you're doing it from 9, by the time you're 17, you can compete. Like, I see we're celebrating that Joel Andrews making, he's 17, 18, 19. That's what we were accustomed to in cricket. Sarwan, Shandapur, like everybody was good by the time they were 16, 17. So there's no reason that the Carlos Brathwaite, who's our captain of West Indies senior team, Craig Brathwaite, made it to become the West Indies captain because he went to cricket from 13. When I went to the same under 13 tournament, Craig Brathwaite wasn't there because he was 12 playing cricket in England. So that's what we need. At a young age, you're really playing serious cricket.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to look to wrap up this session in a moment. Okay, President Lewis. Look for the light.
Okay. Hello? All right. Just a couple of stuff, because I believe a lot of stuff has been discussed. One of the things I want to direct specifically to the commissioner And I don't know whether or not it's at all possible. But growing up, we all used to play cricket, football, marble, whatever the sport is, right? We all used to play it because there were seasons allocated for those games. Now, what happens is that the seasons are crossing. And so you have young people, 14, 15, 16, 17, that has never held a bat or a ball. What that does, it depletes the number of cricketers potentially that are playing the game. And we all know that it's not everybody with the talent that you saw first time that made it. So some people who takes out the game just come on for fun. All of a sudden somebody recognizes a special talent and work with that person, and that person becomes elite. So I don't know whether or not it's at all possible. So we have all our girls, all our boys, maybe it's from January to whenever, playing cricket. House matches, as the case of schools and all of that within the school program. So that we have a wider pool of players to select from. I think it's important that, you know, we address that situation. So I just wanted to put that on the table to see whether how possible that is. And the other thing I wanted to say is that, you said it, President Rodney, government or cricket association is not responsible for the development of the sport of cricket. We all collectively are responsible for it. And so, in the case of a school, you should encourage class competition, a class against another class, that kind of stuff, started at that level. And if we have schools within a zone, it don't have to be organized by the ministry, but we could organize it within the zone so we play against each other in cricket, so that we get a lot more cricket played. I'll just leave it there for now.
Thank you very much for your contribution. We're going to look to wrap up this part of the youth cricket. If anybody else have anything they want input, please say now. If not, let me just reiterate, or somebody might say reiterate, whichever one you choose. I'm very, very glad that we would have had the presence of the commissioner, the new commissioner here tonight, along with his deputy, because it's of paramount importance that we pay attention to the redevelopment of youth sports. And I specifically say sports because all of us would have played sports, but specifically tonight, it's about the cricket. And I believe the deputy commissioner, I'm not too sure if it's the one who said that given the way in which cricket around the Caribbean, it is just more than a sport. It's about circulation of funds in the economy. A lot of us don't take it seriously, but it's about hotel rooms, it's about the bus drivers, it's about the caterers, it's about the scorers. Everybody know the ambit. And whenever we have cricket in Antigua, I mean, we just finished doing the West Indies versus Sri Lanka on the 19th, and we know the cost of that and the people who would have made money out of that, the circulation of funds. So again, I will say to you that the responsibility, we all must hold ourselves accountable for the redevelopment of the youth development of sports in Antigua. On this side of things, it's mainly cricket. So in that case, I just want to thank everybody for the contribution to the youth. We are now going to go to practice venue. I'm sure we're not going to be too long on this, but we're going to put the commissioner in a spot, he and his deputy, to take back the communications, because we are not too happy, and we have the heads grown here. Let me just say that, again, we would have had at least 5 persons from the stadium invited, along with the minister, prime minister, XYZ. And this was specific because we cannot continue to find ourselves in a position where national teams, because, you know, listen, I'm just going to be very straightforward with this. We can't have people going out performing for the nation, and especially at the young age, and when they get selected, a lot of us run up to the airport. Joel Andrew comes back in, and we run up to the airport for, you know, to support and taking photo ops and blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, these young players and national players cannot have proper facilities for us to train when we have proper facilities in Antigua and Barbuda. Just for instance, we would have made recommendations already to this very facility, which have some very nice practice nets up there. And we even said, even clubs should be able to utilize the facilities up there. You may want to say to a club, or even a two-player want to train, you may want to charge them a fee. Nothing big, but you know, there's work to be done. So your club want to come in and train at the Seville Richards Cricket Stadium nets tonight or this afternoon. You may say a club fee is XYZ, a 3-man fee is XYZ, but you can't tell me that in this 2025, 25, people are still looking at the National Association, Cricket Association, and say, your national team wants to practice, you have to pay XYZ. It's just total foolishness, downright foolishness. And we have to get past this. And Mr. Commissioner of Sports, I hope that that will be something that you can pick up to understand that we are very, very peeved about it, because at the end of the day, when you look at it, on the 15s to be trained, on the 17s, on the 19s, girls, you know, men seniors. I mean, we're looking for men seniors to start training in the next 2 weeks or something. Well, I'm made to understand that ARG will be available for that purpose. However, we will have to write about it. But again, early on when I mentioned it, I said that the Hurricanes, Leeward Islands Hurricanes, was moved to Antigua, and I'm sure that, as I mentioned earlier on, that President Lewis, he will have to talk about that himself. We can only give support from this standpoint, because at the end of the day, if we ask the franchise to move from St. Kitts to Antigua, we expect that when they come to Antigua that they must be treated like our national team or national teams. So we have a peeve, we are very, very peeved about that, and I'm really sorry that the relevant persons are not here to understand what we are saying, but we are going to have to put the commissioner and his deputy on blast to take it out there to understand that the national team, cricket national teams of Antigua and Barbuda, may be on the 15s, on the 16, on the 17s, whatever the national teams are, we must be able to have the best facilities to prepare those teams, because when the team then come, we want to pay airport to jump up, especially when they make a West Indies team, right? So the floor is open for any recommendation. I know we have Narville here. Narville, if you have to take some blows tonight and take it back to the relevant authorities, along with the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. That's where we are on that. Commissioner, you want to say something?
Because I was just listening from a personal note that every element that you've mentioned in the last 3 minutes would be for the commissioner to take the message. As far as I know, the Cricket Association has direct access to the Ministry of Sports and to the Minister of Education. No, it's not about no who say what who say, right? You are free. Huh? Who? No. And that is what we are talking about, is serious collaboration and cooperation. There's always room for dialogue and putting whatever the issues are on the table. as far as I know, there's a close relationship between the management structures in the ministries and, in this particular instance, the Cricket Association. So whenever the call is for formal dialogue in that sense, I will always support it. But I don't know if I need to be a messenger when you can carry the message. No, and I know in some cases you might have more direct access than me. Two of you sit in the same box. But anyway. You see you?
Yeah, in the same breath, Kenny Lewis, just in case I went in. Good evening. In the same breath, because what we're saying, we have had youth program, youth cricket here at the stadium. We have had the female, where we have at least around 50 females training in the nets for probably a year or so. And there was no costing and everything was going fine. We have tournament, 10-10 tournament, and so where there was no invoice. So something must have changed along the way. So I say it's unfortunate that some of the authorities that maybe could answer these things are not present. But we have to get back to that point, because if we really need, if we want to have, take for instance, I know for a fact that the ladies in St. Kitts ladies could go to Warner Park at any time. What is ever the structure, I don't know. But I know for a fact that they could go to Warner Park at any time, any hour, and use the facility. So we need to get back to that, and maybe the head groundsman could shed some light. I don't know, you're here, so I don't know if you could assist us. Yes, once we send our correspondence saying, hey, look, that the head coach asked to use the facility for maybe a 2 weeks period or so, give the timeline, then an invoice is sent.
All right. Anyone want to have Mr. Anthony Martin? Look for the light.
Good night. Yes, my take on that, I think that this is the national stadium, Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium, our stadium, Antigua and Barbuda Cricket Stadium, our number one. I think every day there should be nets available. So anyone who wants to train, the ground is available. The training facility should be available. As long as you want to train, you should be able to come to the stadium, and there should be wickets already prepared so that you can train if you want to train. So I don't know what's going on, but something needs to be sorted out. Because let's just say St. Kitts, go down to St. Kitts, you can always go and do a little training just on the other side by the school there. There are always wickets over there. So I don't understand why we say we are the best in the Leeward Islands. How can we not have something like that where players can go out and train on a regular to better themselves?
Thank you very much. And just for your information, St. Kitts would have, if my memory serves me right, has just put in over the last year or two, thinking about four more practice strip in the same area. So you're absolutely correct. We just want to get it out there to make it absolutely clear that, listen, the reality is that the time has come that we have to give as much support as possible to players for training. And as you rightfully said, we cannot have a facility like this, especially with a practice facility. And I totally agree with you. Pitches should be, at least 2 pitches should be always ready for any national teams, and as I mentioned before, even a local team who wants to train. And you know, if there's some funds with it, then we can understand that. Anyone else want to have an input on that? Mr. President of Leewards, I'm sure that you may want to enlighten us that your team could be. Oh, Zowal, thank you very much.
Good night. Yeah, but even with regards to the practice facilities, It's an enclosed area. It's a secure area. A father, a mother might feel comfortable that they want to come up and throw some balls at their child for an hour. I think it's probably an incumbent opportunity for the stadium. If you have the facilities ready, obviously it has to be organized. So someone can say, listen, I want to use one of your pitches from 3 to 4 o'clock with my child. $25, $30, whatever it is. There's a cost for that private opportunity.
Exactly.
But then when it comes to national teams, then that's a different arrangement. So maybe that is where the conversation needs to be had, to have the facilities available, because you can't pick up and go down to Rising Sun and throw some, you might be able to, but then it's not a secured area. I'm saying this is a secured area. It has lights, so you're talking about the opportunity into the evening. So, I mean, in the conversation, maybe that's an angle that can be put also.
Thank you very much. I think that we are basically on the same page. Obviously, that the approach will take place, and the communications will take place, and the dialogue will take place, the discussion will take place, because, as we say, we just cannot continue to move in the direction. And is there anyone else wish to speak on the facilities? Yeah?
Yeah, good evening again. Look, it's, I'm looking forward. It should be so simple, right? That you are looking out, you're providing a social good for your young people, right? Whether or not in the individual community or here at the stadium. Those practice facilities, right, ought to be available not only for your national team. What happens when your international players come back and want to keep in shape? We are the first to criticize them for not improving, They're not improving. They make the same mistake over and over and over again. But when they want somewhere to practice, nothing is available. No, we absolutely have to do better than that. The Leeward Island Cricket, Hurricanes is suffering significantly as a result of that. We demand excellence, and so it is incumbent on us as administrators to provide excellent facilities for them to produce excellent results. And so, I'm making the appeal again that, look, let's have a conversation with the stadium. Perhaps we can get a new set of workers or that have a shift system that come in and do the work at a particular time. But don't tell me that young Miller, who just coming off and trying to get into the West Indies under 19 team and wants to train, can't come up here and expect that we have a national coach ready and waiting for him to come and train. We are not helping. This cricket is not a game anymore. This is an industry. It is an absolute industry. People generate a lot of money from this industry. And we have to recognize as a community that money is going to be spent in this very community if we develop them. So we have a responsibility. And I'm just making a call on behalf of the Leeward Island Cricket Board. And of course the local association, because the local association is part of Leeward Islands Cricket, that some sort of accommodation is made. Some sort of accommodation is made so that a guy who wants to come up here and train could be midday. Because that might be the time that's best for him. He may want to simulate the conditions of a test match, so he may want to come and start at 10 o'clock in the morning, right? Or he's an opening batsman, he may want to come at quarter to 5 with some new balls, just to say that that's when we get bowled out, I have 2 overs to survive. That's the sim. I want to simulate that too. They should be able to do everything that they're going to face in an international game. And that's, and the facilities are critical, right? At recreation ground, the hurdles were not nearly as they are here. These are significant hurdles to overcome. Imagine, we have come to a point in 2025 where the national team wants to train, and the national team has to pay to train in the national facility. It makes absolutely no sense. Huh? No,
I'll please stop disturbing the gentleman. Let him finish, please. Thank you.
No, I'm not going to go into the pricing. But what I'm saying to you, look, there needs to be an urgent conversation, because I believe all our interests should be aligned. It's not about Antigua Cricket Association, not about Leeward Islands Cricket Board. It's about those young people that we need to invest in so they can maximize their potential. So, I'm just making that call. Sooner or later, the Leeward Island Cricket Board, the Leeward Island Hurricanes players are going to start to train again. And you're now looking and saying, well, where are the facilities? Where do we get them to train? When they underperform, it's the administrators, of course, and everybody else. But what I want them to do is to just focus on being good, and we do everything else. Provide the facilities, provide the equipment, provide the coaches, and ensure that they can be at their best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and everyone, thank you very much for coming. Listen, I don't know how to tell you how much valuable this time has been. Mr. Miller, please. Somebody pass the mic to Mr. Miller, please.
Good evening. Miller. Just on that same topic, right? I think the association jogged them foot, dropped the ball on this. Because the association is responsible for national teams and how national teams go forward. And I think we all know the situation, because this is not happening just yesterday. And I think that the association should already out whatever you have to do to get it done, because it's a shame. It's a national shame to know that you have a national stadium and your national players cannot train in that facility. The groundsman, Mr. Narville, it's a joke. It's a joke. I say it with no apology. It's a joke. The minister knows about it, Mr. Matthews. It's a joke. We're discussing development. Right? We're talking about we need to do this, we need to do that. And yet still, who we have now that is at a particular point, they can't even train in an international facility. So persons who come here and play, they know the facility more than the people who are born here. It's a joke. It is a joke. We need to stop it. So Mr. Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner, whoever can do something, do it now, as in yesterday. Because I'm willing to bring Matthew up and train now. Matthew have some situation that I have to do with the West Indies, not just because of my son, but I've been saying this all the time. But I never really point my finger at the association. But I recognize that the association is dragging their feet. Probably Kuma need to go to the Prime Minister or something. Something need to be done. We're just about to select national team. So where then go? Down a factory? I can't deal with this money thing, meaning about that. All I'm saying, we need to get it done. Let's get the thing done, man, and just stop talk.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies, gentlemen, I want to thank everyone for the time tonight. I think it's a start of something that we can, Mr. Roberts, please. I think that's something that we are onto that we can only make better for sports in Antigua and Barbuda. Notwithstanding, I say sports, you know, that I specifically talking about cricket. We have to refocus on the youth part of it. The facilities part of it, obviously, we will continue the conversation because it just cannot continue like that. So again, thank everyone, and we look forward for a betterment with the discussions, and I want to especially thank the commissioner and the deputy commissioner. Oh, you want to say something, sir? Okay, just one more input from Senator Alex Brown.
Well, good evening once again. I just want us to leave here with some clearly defined roles and some clearly defined timelines. Because we have spoken a lot this evening about the problems, but when are we going to start to solve them? And that is very important. So I need to know the when, who the persons are that are going to be selected to deal with specific stuff. Let's fix it. But you can't be here today and then we have a meeting again, another talk shop, 6-8 months, a year from now. We have to be able to say we had this meeting tonight, and at the end of it, Mr. President, you would have selected 1, 2, 3 persons, and maybe you should keep your circle as small as possible. And you go to the minister, whoever it is, and you set deadlines. Because if we come back here in another year and it's still the same thing, then as my brother says, we are jokers. So we need clearly defined roles and timelines. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Let us all get home safely. Thank you very much.